But then all those impression enters in our mind. The humanity is wasting the time. We are wasting our time and effort in anxiety, in reaction, in sorrow, in suffering. We are not worthy of them. We are different from all the living species. Eastern wisdom, our master says that why don't you apply your intellect and see we are different from all the living species. Does not mean we are talking about ego. Does not mean that we are competing. We are searching more than food, sex, security, and sleep. No animals, no living beings are searching higher than these four things: food, sex, security, and sleep. They are not searching. After 2 or 3 years, the lion matures, becomes an adult, and they continue to live the same life until they die. The tiger remains the tiger throughout their life. We have a choice. We have a choice. We may be born as a fox, but we can become a tiger. We can become a lion. I'm just giving an example to make. So we are human being because we can choose, we can evolve, we can discover, we can change consciously. Now, that's the famous verse, that phrase I say. Tiger has no choice to eat the fruits on which it jumps to look at the prey. So the prey is very far, but the fruits are on the tree. They don't have a choice. We have a choice. We don't exercise the choice. People say to me, I've been suffering for the last 20 years. That's why you are the craziest person. All living beings grow to a certain stage and then they move horizontally. We have a choice to move vertically. Means I live in a lower awareness, let me rise in awareness, then rise in awareness to the highest state. That is the meaning. We not only grow physically like animals, we can grow mentally, we can grow and evolve intellectually, and the last point, we can grow spiritually. This must be understood, and this knowledge should guide me, inspire me, motivate me to live a life of higher awareness. That is, in one way, we can say that is what the meditation we do, that is what we do in meditation. But if we don't do this, then by default means by instinctive and impulsive and the habitual nature of the mind, it continues to accumulate the impressions from outside in relationship in different situation, even though these situation and people outside cannot influence me, but I'm getting influenced. That is the meaning of unconscious operation of the nature working on the animals and also on me. And then I have to suffer. I'm bound to suffer. There is no chance. And you rightly said, living, 50, 55 or 50 years of your age, and we have been living in such a trauma. It is because we do not learn from our experience. We have an ability to rise in awareness, but we have not done so. So when we think like this and contemplate and reflect, sometimes you sit down and contemplate and reflect. What to contemplate? Who we are. I have been passing through the waking, dream, and the sleep states for the last 50 years. Do I know even a little bit about? that the life is beyond this waking state, dream state, and sleep state. I have never worked for it. My mind is busy in reacting, in anxiety, in fighting, unnecessary, which is not at all required. That is my animal nature, if I say so. Animal nature. Lion is resting, and suddenly in a forest, he hears a small noise, a little noise, and the lion becomes alert. That is our nature. What you said against me, what you were saying, I want to know why you said so. That is why I am upset. You're my honey. Come on. You see, you look deeply. That is the animal nature. I have not to worry what people say in favor or against me. I should know who am I. I never contemplate and reflect on this. So when you do not contemplate and reflect, second contemplation and reflection, that we don't know we are the body or something else. We have a mixed awareness. When there is a pain in the body, then I am the body. When the body is healthy, then I am flying. I feel that I am not the body. When I have an emotional dependence, then I get upset over other people. And then when the emotional dependence is removed, I am free. When my intellect thinks correctly in a right direction, that no word outside coming from any person can hurt me, I rise in awareness instantly. This ability is not present in any living species. We are wasting our time. We are destroying our life. After all, there is some design by the existence so that we are human beings. We don't know how the different species evolved. We don't know the ultimate cause. I have been mosquito, I have been ant, I have been lion, I have been tiger, I have been fox, but I'm a human being. I don't respect that. I don't live into that awareness that I'm a human being. Human being means human plus being. The being is separate. I can separate the being. That being is the real self. And this human part is the body, the mind, the intellect, and the ego. We are independent. We are definite. We are sure we are different from it. We are separate from it. So look at this. I am not able to understand the three mental states. I am not able to understand whether I am the body or I am not the body. Look at a big surprise that I call the life as a sum of waking, sleep, and the dream state. So these three states are happening in my life, but the sleep state does not know the waking and dream. The dream state does not know the waking, sleep, and the waking. And the waking state does not know the sleep and dream state. We are not aware. We are living in ignorance. That is why the nightmares disturbs us. That is also a part of the life, but we don't know. So the master said, I'm summarizing today so that I'm giving you those thoughts for contemplation. Do we live consciously in a waking state? You wake up in the morning. Morning never takes place. Sun never rises, never sets. It's a very subtle delusion. I'm giving an example. So now when I wake up, so-called in the morning, my mind habitually accepts today is the morning. Now it is a bad morning. So who said bad morning? It is my mind. Why the mind said? Because of the past impression. So I have stopped living consciously even in a waking state. I carry forward those past impressions that happened with my honey, with my mom, with my relations, with the people outside. And then I go to the kitchen, my mind is working. Now is the time you should react. So your mind has a reaction against someone, and your honey says you start reacting. We are not living consciously. We pick up few things from this memory bank, thoughts and desires every day, and try to achieve, but nothing seems achieved. That sense of self fulfillment is not there in my life. At least, these animals are limited in their mind. They don't have that higher level of self awareness, so there is a sense of self fulfillment. Tiger catches the prey, eats 20 kilogram of meat, and then he lies down. He says, this is what the self fulfillment, but we are not happy with it. Because I live in a higher self awareness. I want more. I see that, the food cannot give me the self fulfillment. I cannot eat 24/7 if I like a particular food. If I like a sexual pleasure, I cannot go for sex 24/7. So there is a limitation. Can I break these limitations and find out that there is a permanent peace and happiness in my life? There the Eastern wisdom works. Eastern wisdom says, in whatever situation you are, in whatever the relationship you are, what kind of parents you have a choice to live into that state of permanent peace and happiness. That is the subject matter of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not closing your eyes and relaxing. You can take the pills and relax. Why to waste time? Do we live habitually, instinctively, and impulsively? So there, as a human intellect, we separate. Am I living habitually, Now I react against you. So before I react, I change my thought, speech, and action. After all, he is or she is my honey. Hold on, mind. Let me understand why there should be a reason to react. We are not living consciously in a waking state. How can I find out what is sleep and dream? Are you getting it? I'm not living consciously even in a waking state because my mind guides me habitually and impulsively. What happened yesterday with the honey, I carry those impressions and I'm ready to react. I'm not living consciously in my life. I'm not contemplating and reflecting. I have a choice. I don't exercise that choice. You see, I'm just making the Eastern wisdom so simple. So there is another way to understand that. There is a circumference and there is a center. We are not living from the center, we are living from the surface. Circumference. We know not even 1% of this center. So we start living from the circumference, and the circumference carries all these impressions that you cheated me, you reacted me, you became angry, so that is why I was upset, that is why I also became angry. We follow the animal nature and we claim that the world is full of suffering. Only one thing, I separate consciously, I start living consciously, the life changes. So then Eastern wisdom comes, then what is this stress and suffering? So simple. Last week I covered that what we want freedom from what we do not want. What we do not want, the stress and suffering and anxiety and reaction and blame and complaint. The moment I understand that I need not to blame and complain anyone in the world, any situation, 50% of your mind calms down. You don't have a repeated thoughts. You don't have an instinctive and impulsive thoughts that will blast outside in a given situation. So that means you are living in a higher awareness where you tell the mind that I am responsible for my sorrow, I am responsible for my suffering. First you start with that, I'm responsible. Because I saw you, my mind took me to the past impression of a disliking, so the blame, complaint, and the reaction comes in the front. Now you are talking to me, I'm ready to react. So I'm responsible. I'm responsible. First I say I'm responsible. This is what Buddha says, dukkham, dukkham, dukkham. Dukkham means suffering, suffering, suffering. Because I am living unconsciously, I identified, I have an emotional dependence, I blame and complain and react to the outer situations, conditions, people, and the things. I created my own world in which I live. That created world by the mind to blame, complain, reaction is dukkham, dukkham, dukkham. I am suffering, I am suffering. This is what the Buddha does not say that this beautiful world is the cause of the suffering. It has nothing to do with the suffering. If this world is the cause of the suffering, let the existence take the air out. We die. Take the space out. I cannot move. I cannot speak. Think. So the grace and the blessing is always there by the existence. Every day I wake up. How the breathing supplied by the existence, the space supplied by the existence, the everything, you see that. They have a 90% contribution in our success, and we build our ego. I'm a self-made man. Oh, yeah, I know how a self-made man you are. How much self-made you are. So, in the disguise of the ego, we start living our life and we fall down. Instead of rise in awareness, we fall. We can find those people around us, in our family, in our relations, in our friends. They are living in a lower level of awareness. They give us an opportunity to live and rise in consciousness. We have to do nothing to them. Nothing to be done. Because I'm responsible for my evolution, they are responsible for their evolution. Now, if you don't have a contrast, you cannot compare. So they offer us a contrast. Whether it is they are in my family. For example, someone told me that my dad always, fires me, blames me, complains me, and puts the entire house on fire. I said, what is the best thing one can do as a human being? Withdraw, remain silent. Look that it is just like a play, one film is going on. Just become aware. You do it for a week, your dad did not dare to say anything. I can tell you. Because the power of peace and the silence is much more powerful than the power of anger and hesitation. Animals do not understand. But I have a higher self-awareness, I can understand. We don't do. We don't like to do, because we also have a we have a lower degree of anger. Dad has a higher degree of anger. That's only difference. So that is why the master says dukkham dukkham dukkham. We do not recognize the suffering when I'm living in a lower awareness, and then I start blaming others. I don't see the cause of this suffering is my living at a low level of awareness. It is impure mind. You can say impulsive mind. We use the word ignorance. We use the word emotional dependence and delusion. All impressions are stored deeper within in the dark abyss. Do we have to dig deep inside us? Yes. That is why the Eastern wisdom always starts with an understanding that there is a suffering. Recognize it and recognize the cause of it. Don't only recognize that I am suffering, but recognize the cause of this suffering is ignorance, it is delusion, it is impure mind. I am living in a lower level of awareness. I have to dig in deep inside myself. I have to find out the root cause. The root cause is ignorance, delusion, emotional dependence, nothing else. We have seen in New York City that we have a high skyscraper. So we have their roots also so deep. If the tree is very high up, their roots are very deep inside the ground. So the master says I have to dig deep inside until I reach to a level of self-awareness where I can pick up. Today I reacted to my honey because 5 years ago I reacted to a person. That impression was accumulated. So Buddha used to ask every of his seekers that go deep down, dig inside you. You are responsible for your anger and hesitation. And they used to go back to the previous birth to find out, oh, this is the cause of my. So once I understand the cause of my suffering, it is already gone. I will not touch. I know the fire burns. I will not touch. And it is gone. So does all the suffering are rooted in our, modern psychology says unconscious. Freud talks a lot about psychoanalysis. So they talk at the surface level. We go a little deeper. All those fears, dualities, confusion are lying in our deep unconsciousness. So explore that unconscious material consciously. That is what the meditation is. We are exploring, we are digging deep inside, we are investigating. Not investigating only for an hour in our daily life, 24 by 7. My honey gives me an opportunity. Outer situations offers me an opportunity. I don't have money, that gives me an opportunity. I have lot of money, that gives me an opportunity. Huh? You look at, I've been saying that Bill Gates, 27 years of living, lovely. Why don't you explore? You have been exploring the science and technology and applications for the last 30 years. You should have explored your unconscious material, which blames and complains your wife that you lived your loveless life because of her. That is what the Eastern wisdom is. So I have to live consciously. So first thing is the suffering. Now the amazing. Buddha says in the second level that once you dig inside, you understand the exact nature of your suffering. You discover that this suffering is impermanent. It is not permanent. It comes and goes. You are calm, then you have an hesitation. After that, there is a calm. So, in between two calm, one hesitation is there. We don't recognize this. No, I was calm and relaxed. You came and I got agitated. You came, but you are not responsible. Oh, I'm not responsible. Yes, you are not responsible. So I discover, oh my goodness, it has come from the unconscious material. So once I recognize, I see it is impermanent. Anityam, anityam, anityam. Impermanent. The moment I recognize consciously, all the sufferings are impermanent. That I didn't teach in the group sessions. Because once I realize that any anxiety, duality, conflict, and the problem are located in between two calm and the two peace, before, after. I cannot stay in anger 24 by 7. No possibility. Physiologists have found out that if you have an anger which is of the highest degree, that does not remain active even more than a minute. But if it remains more than a minute, after 50 years of age, you have to take care of your heart for about a week. Otherwise, you may have a heart stroke. That proves, I'm bringing that point. It does not remain even for 1 minute. There is an automatic mechanism that, the anger has to go down from the highest level, third degree, it moves to the second degree, then to the first degree. Then we start thinking against that person, and then we get engaged in doing something. We became busy, we forget it. But if we do it consciously, we don't have that anger. We are not doing it. So that is why the Buddha says it is done. It is impermanent. It is impermanent. It is impermanent. Another beautiful Buddha says in teaching the third line, it's a chanikam, chanikam, chanikam. Not only it is impermanent, but it is momentary. Momentary means it does not exist. It is changing so fast. Ego doesn't allow you to change so fast. It says, no, how dare you said this? And we keep on repeating this. I have an emotional dependence, I go back and remember my mom and dad. 10 years. I'm not learning from the experiences. It is not only impermanent, it is momentary. Let me remember my mom and dad. But why to bring in grief? Why to bring in grief? It's an absolute truth. I am going to die. Why? Because I claim that I am the body. Body has taken birth. Body is constantly changing. Body has to die. But the moment I have a distance from the body, I'm not the body. Come on. Then I always have a smile on the face. No, I'm not the body at all. Yes. Body is constantly changing. My mind, because of the ego, claims When I look into the mirror, I'm not changing, but the body is constantly changing. To give an example, I was meeting this physician for my health checkup. So he was saying that, do you see that? I rubbed my hand. What happened? 50,000 cells have died, replaced by the new cells. So I said, we do not become aware of this change. That is why the patients always come to you. Moment I am aware, I consciously take care of that. So it's a momentary. We started with the suffering. Buddha says, second line, that it is impermanent. It is not only impermanent, but it is momentary. I have changed. My body has changed. Trillions of cells. This human body is made up of something around 40 trillion cells, out of which 600 billion cells are present in the brain. We don't activate that. 40 trillion cells. And because it is constantly changing, dying, can I see consciously that I have died? I'm made up of the body is made up of the cells. Chanikam. So fourth word the Buddha uses, shunyam. Behind all the suffering, behind all the impermanency, behind it's a momentary nature of your body and the mind, there is one thing, that is nothingness. So that nothingness is that because I negate it by understanding. The way you said that distance is, I told you distance is dispassion. So mentally I distance myself from whatever is changing my body, my mind, my intellect, my thought process. I distance. That, when I negated all that, that is nothingness. Nothingness is not a big thing, a big shape in the size of the knot in the zero. I have to negate it. So what happens when you negate it? So what is the existence that manifests, that is being known by the mind? What is known by the mind? That is the real self. What is the real self? It is pure consciousness. What is pure consciousness? It is of the nature of peace and happiness. It is of the nature of peace and happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. It is always there. We should ask the mind to think in a different way. Did I create love? No. Did I create peace? No. So, okay. But when I feel peace, I feel good. When I feel love, I feel good. So, did tiger teach love to the tigress? No. Love is also there. Love is also there in the existence. So, it is coming from existence. It is not coming from me. As long as I feel I am the body, mind, intellect, and ego, and it comes from me, when I recognize that I am the real self. That is the only level of ignorance we have. You don't love me. It's an absurd statement that I am seeking love from others. Love is me. When that love is expressed, Buddha says it becomes compassion. So what is preventing me? So very clarity should be there. Behavior, attitude, impulsive nature prevents me. What is it? This is the mind. So what is intellect? My master used to say, don't see the intellect as one part of your brain. See the intellect, it is a consciousness, and that consciousness is knowledge. Intellect is not like the ears and eyes. The moment I use the intellect, I live consciously. See that? Think in that way, contemplate in that way. The life will change. Wake up in the morning, mind says you did not have a good sleep. The intellect says, okay, you don't have a good sleep. You have analyzed, distancing, and then do some practice. Do this self-awareness practice and see what happens. So I rise in consciousness. Animals do not know that their sleep is disturbed or not. My intellect knows it, knowledge. We don't live consciously. So intellect is simply means knowledge. Knowledge is clarity. Knowledge is conviction. Knowledge is doubt-free. Anyone who recognizes you will recognize you as a Charlie. So Charlie is a knowledge about this women. So there is no alternative knowledge. Knowledge always remains as a knowledge. This mouse will remain mouse. We can express in a different language. So that clarity should come in our day-to-day living, in our relationship. That is the journey of the Eastern wisdom. So where the problem comes, mind claims I know, you are crazy. Intellect says there is no craziness. Choose one. Choose one, make a right choice. My mind says person A is crazy. Intellect says there is no craziness in this world. Craziness is nothing but living subconsciously, habitually, impulsively. So I should move with a kindness to those people, with a firm conviction inside, with a strength inside. Are you getting it? So in any situation, whether it's your honey inside your home, people outside, that takes the time. That is why, so there we start the journey. We say, Manu hi devidham prok. The mind is of two types, pure and impure. You have to understand what is the impure mind. Once we understand this impure mind that I have already explained, then we can move to the purity. If we do not understand what mixture it is in the mind, I cannot make a progress. So it is not a pessimistic concept in principle. It's encouraging you because you may have a higher IQ in the intellect, but the mind continues to play tantrums. That is why you have seen MIT and Harvard students, 90% of the students committed suicide. Mind is not properly understood. They feel that they are suffering. They feel they are not treated well by the world. I have such a great IQ. It's your ego. Turn into the knowledge. Everything will fall into the right place. Look at the clarity that we have. Big gap in modern education. So that brings us to a clarity and understanding that I look at the wall. Wall is constantly changing, but I see it is stable. I see the body is constantly changing, but I say, no. I told you, I think, long back in New Jersey, he was very close to Obama in those days. When Obama was president, he wrote many books. So he was my client. 70 years old. You see, this is the delusion we have to get rid of it. Girish, when I was 50, I had no problem. I was totally healthy. Now I am 70. I have this anxiety and depression. How come it has entered into me? I'm not able to distance my body and the mind from myself. And he lived with that obsession that why I have the problem today. I did not have the problem when I was 50. He died in that obsession. He has written 7 books, wonderful books on democracy. IQ is one hand, delusion is on the other hand. This is delusion. I don't see the truth into it. So we say, divide the entire knowledge into the 3 categories. Untruth. Untruth means non-existent. It does not exist. Water in the mirage does not. No. Non-existence means elephant flying in the sky does not. Then there is the truth. That truth is knowledge that lives forever. There is no problem. But there is in between the two, that is not complete truth, and that is also not untruth. That is false. So we categorize into 3 categories of knowledge. And knowledge that does not exist, knowledge that always exists, that always exists in our life. That is what the existence is. And then there is a mixture between the two. That appears to exist, the water in the mirage appears to exist, so it is neither the absolute truth, it is not, we cannot say that it is non-existence because I see the water, I see the blueness of the sky. Bring that understanding to the body when you look into the mirror. It appears to exist. No, it is constantly changing. That is why the body is false. That is why I am not the body. That is why I cannot be the body. Thoughts are constantly changing. They come, thought of a stress, big face. Thought of a pleasure, smiling face. Oh, they have already changed. Mithya, false. So when I live into that awareness, I'm living in mindfulness 24/7. That is what the awakening is. So what is the process? You don't do any practice. The highest seeker understands these principles. Understanding means intellect, it means clarity, it means awareness. That very awareness destroys the trillions of impressions accumulated by the mind even for 50 years. Like you switch on the light, darkness is gone. Even if the darkness in that room is present for 50 years, it doesn't stay. So the highest seeker can attain that realization by talking. By teacher communicates based on their temperament. But if we are 75% seeker, it may take a year or so. If we are 50%, it may take another 5 years. If we are 25%, no guarantee. We don't have any promise. Because 75% mind is dominating in your life, you don't want to become aware. No, I cannot help, I've been sleeping for so long, I cannot sleep, other guy sees. No, my dad is the problem. You don't understand. So these people are 25% seekers. So let them say continuously, they are not going to change. The last point is also very important. So who is the highest level of a seeker? You listen, you learn from a teacher, you listen to these principles, And then, what happens to your meditation to the highest level of a seeker? After listening and learning from a teacher, you sit down and you close your eyes, your body becomes totally freezing and still naturally be. Why? Because you start contemplating with a focus on the principle suffering, suffering. Oh, what is this suffering? Mentally, you are thinking. So when we contemplate and reflect, that becomes your meditation. The body acquires steadiness naturally. You need not to do it. That I recognized after many, many years. My master used to say, no, sometimes we are focused on our obsession. Our body seems to be freezed. It doesn't move. Sometimes you have seen that men started staring you, body becomes still. That's a negative approach. So this contemplation is inside. That contemplation is inside. So what happens, that gradual practice of this listening and learning, contemplation and reflection results into a sense of emotional freedom, detachment. Keeping it, you understand inside your head. Your honey is touching you, but still you feel that there is a distance, separation. So once you have the emotional freedom, it starts dropping the delusion. The water in the mirage, no. Blueness in the sky, no. I am the body, no. Body is an instrument. So you see, listening and learning, contemplation and reflection results into detachment. Detachment results into removing the freedom from a delusion. The moment you have a freedom from the delusion, my friend, you laugh at your mind. Why? Because the mind is naturally steady. Mind has nothing to go in. It is only wandering, distracted because of these past impressions caused by the detachment and delusion. There is no reason the mind should be wandering and distracted. No reason. So what it does, whatever the work you do, it is naturally focused there. You want to excel in that work. No ego. Ego, minus the result. I told everyone, my students, this this woman here, she has been with me for the last 2.5 years. So every 2 days she sends an email. So she is renovating her house. She made her two sons successful in their business because she is an entrepreneur and businesswoman, and she is also still helping her daughter renovating the house. Nobody called her. Nobody called her to help her. So she wrote to me, I should have been terribly disturbed because I realized I was so much attached. But now I realize this attachment in me is causing the problem in my relationship. And I was contemplating and reflecting. People were working in my house. I was full of peace and happiness. She just, day before yesterday, she said, I said, this is it. Then she wrote back that I thought when you came first time, you said peace is your essential nature. I thought you are the craziest person. But now I realize I was the craziest. I'm not going to leave you. She's of your age, yeah. She's around, maybe, 50, 60. So she pushed her son to be with me, and her son was also with me for 2.5. So come back. Listening and learning, contemplation and reflection. I'm talking about the highest level of a seeker. You start thinking, and then you have no attachment, then the delusion is not there. Now your mind is living in steadiness, a natural steadiness. It is not achieved by the effort. That mind absorbs into meditation anytime, anywhere, in any activity. That is known as awakening. Nishchal Tattve Jivan Mukti. Nishchal Tattve